So for this module, we'll have the fundamentals of material balances, starting with classification of the process, general balance equation, the types of balances, and steps for material balance calculation. So first, what is material balance? I'm sure you've already had something like this. Basically, it's an exact counting of all the materials entering, generated, consumed, leaving, and accumulating the system. So look at the words enter, generated, consumed, leaving, and accumulating. So for example, let's take this picture. You know how to read a Venn diagram, right? That this one, the one in the middle, is, for example, the total population in a certain country. Why only this small? Even if the birth rate is the whole circle, the death rate would be this one. So the intersection of those two will be the total population. However, there are some people that leaves the country. So if you remove that, the only total population left will be the intersection of the three. So in this case, births and deaths of these birds, diba? When you account the total number of birth, total number of deaths, total number of those who leave the colony or the nest, you will only be left with a certain amount. So it's not, looking at these two, it's just quite easy. However, when you look at it in chemical engineering perspective, similar to how we applied the concepts in here, this is basically the same. So for example, raw materials entering, and then incorporate that with energy in terms of heat, work, chemical, electrical. And then this one enters a certain process. So let's just say that unit operation, you produce certain products, certain waste products. And then in those, they have energies stored in them. So basically, it's an accounting. So let's classify some of these processes. Basically, the first one is what you call a batch process. This is a process wherein the feed is charged into the system, the beginning of the process, and the products are all at once removed sometime later. So after you do the process, everything will be removed. So no mass crosses the system boundaries between the time the feed is charged and the time the product is removed. So when I say system boundary, what's a system boundary? For example, you have here the two pipes. There, let's just say two reactants, and then this one's just being mixed. So I can say that my system boundary is this one. Anything that tank, anything that enters the tank, I can account. Anything that leaves the tank, I can account. But anything outside the system boundary, I don't care about them anymore. So that is what's meant by no mass crosses the system boundary between the time. So you notice only the yellow and the blue are being fed. If there are any other things being fed, we don't really care about them because I declared this as my system boundary. The things that enter here are only the yellow and the blue. The thing that exits is only the red. So in here, you can see raw materials entering times 0. After 2 hours, di ba you notice the liquid level is the same. So meaning nothing has been added in between. So after 2 hours, you notice that the red dots became green dots, and then that became a bit darker, the liquid. And then after another 2 hours, which is a total of 4 hours, the liquid became dark blue. And then you collect the product, which is the green circles. This is an example of a continuous process. Okay, a distillation, for example, in a petroleum industry, wherein the lower liquids or the bitumens, like sometimes, you might have heard of asphalts, the one that we use in pavement, in roads. So the asphalts are the lower ones. And then after that, you distill it, the heavy oils, and then the diesel, the kerosene, naphtha, petrol, and then the gases. Lightest is the methane. So you can see in here that the process is continuous, and then the materials flow into and out of the process during the entire duration, right? So the heated crude oil is entering, and then it's continuously going out as it's being distilled. So you can see in here the raw materials being fed, and then this one being, stirred or mixed, and then the product is continuously being removed, meaning there is no accumulation, there is no generation in here, there's no accumulation. Actually, there's generation of the product because there's product, but nothing is accumulated. So you'll notice, for example, there are five circles inside, there's always five inside, and then the product is always two. So this one is a continuous process. And then we have also what you call the semi-batch process. Usually, it's neither a batch nor continuous. Usually, the material enters the process during its operation, but does not leave. Instead, mass is allowed to accumulate in the process vessel, and the product is withdrawn only after the process is over. So, for example, you have a certain reactant or material. What happens is it's you place it there, and then you say you add a certain reactant, and then it reacted to it. After that, you react it with another reactant and continuously processing the original reactant until you're finished with the product, right? So for example, di ba, when you're cooking sinigang, sometimes you will say, oh, you have there the meat and then the water, and then what happens is you keep on adding and adding the other ingredients like the sinigang mix, the other aromatics, and then the vegetables until you're finished. Once you're finished, that's when you take out the food. So you can call it semi-batch because you don't put everything inside all at once, right? So a steady state process. So looking at this one, steady state process is any process wherein process variables do not change with time, except possibly for minor fluctuation. So when you look at it, you can see here that this is the transient state initially, and then the steady state. Transient state in this case can be also called the unsteady state. So not all the conditions in the process, for example, temperature, pressure, mass of the materials remain constant with time. And or the flows in and out of the system can vary with time because as you wait for it to stabilize, potentially, there are fluctuations prior to reaching the steady state, right? So at steady state, that's where you'll notice that it is stable. So let's have some examples in here. So classify the following as batch, semi-batch, or continuous. If a balloon is filled with air at steady state of 50 liters a minute, what is that? This is, can I say that this is continuous? Kasi balloon is filled with air at a steady state. Tuloy-tuloy siya ng 50 liters a minute. We're not sure how big the balloon is, right? So when it started to fill the balloon at that point, until matapos siya, it is said to be continuous. Yes, sometimes you might be correct, semi-batch. Pero I think because it's stated here, the steady rate. So tuloy-tuloy. You understand? A bottle of milk is taken from the fridge and left on the kitchen. What is this? Diba this is batch reactor? Am I correct? Because you take it and then you put it on top of wherever. Washing dishes in on a sink. So the dishes are there, and then what? This can be considered semi-batch. Why? Because after washing the dishes, you store the plates away. Plus, sometimes, while you're washing dishes, diba, continue, potentially continues yung water while you're washing and rinsing. It depends on how you wash it. May mga iba nakastore yung water, pero after you process it, you store it away. Water is boiled in an open flask. This is this is a batch process because you boil it, and after you boil it, ito na siya. Human breathing at a room temperature. At room temperature. Can I consider this to be continuous because we're continuously breathing? Next, baking chocolate chips. Very good batch because after you bake them, they're finished. Flushing the toilet. Toilet itself, not the contents. You might say the contents because, like, if you do number one or number two, after that batch, you flush it. That would be batch. But then if you're looking at it in the water point of view, di ba, you feel there might be some water left in the tank, in the water tank, and then you fill it, it's filled with liquid, and then it stops when the, what do you call this? When the ball reaches a certain height, and then what happens is you flush it. Not all of the liquid will be drained. So you can actually call this semi-batch if you're looking at it at the water point of view. But if you're looking at it at the content, you're correct. It's batch. Number 8, washing clothes in a washing machine. And this batch because the first batch of clothes, because you can't really add more clothes to it once you are washing it already. I mean, unless you're doing it like that. Typically, di ba, you do one batch of clothes. After that, you take it out, do another batch of clothes. You don't really do while washing one batch. You're adding the second batch immediately. And then 19, printing your homework using an inkjet printer. Wow. So there's already ink in there, and then probably there's already paper in there. So you're just printing it out. So it's semi-batch. And then 19, drinking an orange juice, it's batch. Kasi di ba, you take it out, unless you drink it from, you drink it from, the vending machine na it's already in there. You, typically, di ba, you get a glass and fill it with juice. I think ito, it is actually difficult to really interpret. It depends on how, like, yung practice mo. Paano kung kunyari, yung juice mo, 5 gallons, kunyari, di ba? Or ice cream mo, 5 gallons, kumuha ka lang naman ng konti. So, some people might say it's semi-batch. Pero, you know, sige, we'll go back to that eventually. Let's go to basic material balances. So, what is a material balance? Naman, di ba? Law of conservation of matter or energy is basically what this revolves around. So it involves a balance on a conserved quantity. That quantity could be mass, energy, momentum in a system, That system is a single unit process or collection of units or an entire process. It depends on your system boundaries. This was what I said earlier. Look at the terms. Input plus generation equals output plus consumption plus accumulation. So you have to take note where they are placed. If they are placed on the reactant side or they're placed on the product side. So input enters through system boundaries. That's why it's on the reactant side. Generation produced within the system. So if within the system it's being produced, place it here. And then output is the one that leaves. That's why nasa kabilang side na siya. Consumption, it's used within the system. Diba? They're basically opposite by the generation. So consumption is being used, so it's on the other side. And then accumulation is built up within the system after you have done the reaction or you're finished with the reaction. So here, again, the basis is the law of conservation of matter and energy, which states that the matter or energy of the universe is conserved. There are different types of balances I'll be showing you. The first one is what you call the differential balance. Be mindful of the differences. This indicates what is happening in the system at an instant of time, di ba? Just like your differential calculus, at an instant of time rate of change. So each term of the balance is then a rate and has units of the balance quantity per unit time. So if it's a rate, it is continuous process. So this is what you call a differential balance. Look at this. Initially, you have nothing in here. And then after 10 minutes, there is an accumulation of 10 kilograms per minute times 10 minutes. That's 100 kilograms of water. So input plus generation is equal to output, consumption, and accumulation. So mass flow rate in plus mass generated, mass out, mass consumption, and accumulation is dm over dt, how much is accumulated. So for steady state processes, meaning whatever comes in will flow out, the dm over dt is zero. So nothing is accumulated. What happens is input plus generation is output plus consumption. However, for steady state processes without reactions, so it's if it's purely mixing yung physical changes only, you can say that mass input is mass output because generation and consumption and accumulation are all zero. Integral balance naman describes what is happening in a system between two instants of time. Each term in the equation is an amount of the balanced quantity. This usually applies in batch processes. So you can see in here that at time zero, what happens is you have 100 kilograms here initially, daw, and then may input na another 100. However, time equals 10, what you notice is instead of 200 dito, after 10 minutes, 150 lang is stored in here. The remaining 50 was taken out. So may balance pa rin kasi this one plus this should be 100 plus 100, 200. This one plus this should be 150 plus 50, 200 pa din. So for steady state processes, the accumulation is zero. So those. And then if there are no reactions, generation and consumption should be zero. Next, sa unsteady state balances naman. Look at this. Open unsteady state with positive accumulation after 10 minutes. So this one, open siya. So meaning, sometimes you continuously input here because it's per unit of time, right? So initially, you have At time zero, you have 100 here. Thus, the input is always 100. The output is always 90. So after 1 minute, you'll notice that the difference is 10. So this should be 110 kilograms of water after 1 minute. But after 10 minutes, this should be 10 times 10, additional 100. That's why after 10 minutes, you should have 200 kilograms of water in here. So it's positive accumulation because the input is more than the output. You will increase in here. However, looking at the lower ones, the input is 90, the output is 100. If initially you have 200, what happens is that after 10 minutes, it's negative 10 times 10 minutes, it's negative 100. So if initially you have 200 kilograms, deduct 100 from it, what will be left in the tank is 100 kilograms of water. Okay? And then this one is what you call the negative accumulation. Lastly, open unsteady state with zero accumulation after 10 minutes. So what happens is this one is 100 kilograms a minute. The output is also 100 kilograms per minute of water. If initially you have 100 kilograms of water inside, even after so much time, it will still be 100 kilograms of water because the input and the output are of the same rate. So what are the steps? I'll show you some examples of unit processes. First step, you will notice we have a lot of process flow diagrams. So these ones are samples. This is an example of process flow diagram. Each unit in here or each box here represents a unit operation or unit process. For example, in here, you can say mixer. Sometimes the mixer can be like this, like this. Kasi may mixing. You have an evaporator. So in mixer, there are two reactants being mixed, for example, and then the um, product here, you notice there's a circle. That node is a mixing point of whatever is the product of the mixer and whatever comes outside the crystallizer, right? So here, it could be the mother liquor being mixed with this, and then after that, you evaporate that. So what evaporates is the typically water, right? Or yung solvent. And then the wet crystals enter the crystallizer. It's being cooled, diba? So here, it could be solvent exiting, the mother liquor being returned, and then the crystals, the dried crystals, would be here, pero hindi siya purely dried. So it enters a dryer, the dryer removes the excess water, and then what will be left are the dried crystal. Okay? So what happens here is we use boxes and other figures to represent the process units, and then use arrows to represent the input and output streams. So you know which ones enter, which ones exit. So draw a process flow diagram and identify all inputs and output streams. It's important here that after drawing the figure, I label that. So here, mixer, evaporator, crystallizer, dryer. In this case, it's a distillation column or a distilling column. So you know that something comes in the distilling column and then it's separated into two, the light products and the heavy products at the bottom. So the distillate and the bottoms. So what we do here is we label typically those capital letters are either mass or mole or volume. So the ones at the bottom are typically composition. So you notice that in for every 100 moles of F, 40 moles of B are in here and 60 moles of tea. So 40 moles of benzene, for example, and then 60 moles of toluene in the feed. Now, in the distillate, 80 moles, 80% by mole of benzene, 20% by mole of toluene in the distillate. And then in the bottoms product, 0.12 kilograms of benzene per kilogram of bottoms and 0.88 kilograms of toluene per kilogram of bottoms. So label of streams can be written as a total amount of flow rate with the fractions of each component or directly as the amount of or flow rate of each component. So any of these, this one is in terms of mole, percentage by mole, or this one is mass fractions. And then use symbols that can easily be identified, just like F, D, and B. So feed, distillate, and bottoms. And then in this case, draw a process flow diagram and identify, say, if mixed mass and mole units are given, convert all units to a single unit muna because it's difficult if it's mass and mole all together. So you notice in here, moles, 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 and moles. This one is in mass. So we can convert this mass into moles. Diba? We had this as an example last time. So convert everything to moles. And then if any information is given in the problem statement that has not been used in labeling the streams in the flow diagram, translate any given information into equation in the variable defined. For example, in this case, what you're given is the dryer. So the feed enters and then water evaporates. And then here, the dried product. So you notice that the feed, 40% moisture in the feed. So for example, if you only have two components, the wet product and the in the feed. So wet product consists of the product itself plus moisture. And then it says here that the dryer removes 50% of water fed to the dryer. So water mo is 50% of the water in F. So, water removed is 50% of the water in F. What is the water in F? It's 40% moisture. So 40% of F is actually moisture. The remaining 60% of F is actually the product itself. So convert that into an equation. So these are some commonly used symbols in AspenTech. Separator, a separator, tank, liquid extractor, continuous flow, stirred tank reactor, absorber, distillation column, crystallizer, baghouse filters, rotary vacuum filter. So you don't need to memorize how they look like because typically, sometimes we just draw boxes naman. However, it is good that you know these, especially when you're using softwares. So you know, oh, this one is actually just a separator. Okay. So after we have drawn everything, we have to select a basis for our calculations. So if a stream amount or flow rate is given in the problem, choose the amount of the stream to start the calculation or batch process, or choose a time of operation as basis for the material balance calculations for continuous. So for example, in here, for the given evaporator, the mass of the thick liquor L emerging as product is given. So here, the evaporator, you have the feed, you have the water evaporating, and L as the liquor. So sugar and water is given as 10% and 90%. Some of you might ask, is this percentage mass or mole? If it's not stated and it's liquid or solid, it is mass. All right. So percentage by mass, 10 and 90, and then it enters the evaporator. You'll notice that the thick liquor has 80% sugar and 20% water, it became more concentrated because you have removed the water. And then also, you'll notice that L is given to be 200 kilograms. So some of you might ask, which ones should be the basis for my calculation? I can say 200 kilogram would be a good basis because if I am to produce 200 kilograms in this reaction, what I'll do is for every 200 kilograms produced, I can account for how much feed I have. I can account for how much water it has evaporated. And in here, you can actually write your basis already. So let's say here, basis is 200 kilograms of the liquor. If I ask you to write the balance, eh, like the material balance in here, let's say the overall material balance, it would be input, di ba? If it's non-reacting, the generation would be zero, the accumulation would be zero, and the consumption would be zero. So the inputs should be equal to the outputs. The only input that you can see in here is F, and then the outputs are the water and the mother liquor. So this would be your starting working equation. That's your overall material balances. And eventually, as we go on, I'll ask you, can you do a balance on the amount of sugar? Yes, that's the component balance on sugar. Can you do balances on water? Yes, also. So, for example, let's do component balances. What component I want? I want sugar. Sometimes I just call this sugar balance as opposed to component balance sugar. So how much sugar is in the feed? You can say 10% of the feed is sugar. So I can say 0.10 F is sugar. Are there any sugar in the water? There's none. So you don't account for that anymore because it does not contain sugar. Do I have any sugar in L? Yes, 80% L. However, later on, we can replace L with 200. And then I'll say water balance for the components. How much water is in the feed? I can say 90% of the feed is water. How much water is in W? All of it is W. How much water is in L? 20% L. Okay? So you have these working equations as your balance equations. There's a question. F is equal to W plus L. Choosing sugar will be easier as it is the tie component. Yes, we will go to the tie component later on. Okay? So this one, let's go to the continuous process. For example, in the extractor, how do we know that this is continuous again? Because of this 100 kilograms per minute. So a lot of you will ask, sir, do I use 100 kilograms per minute as my basis? Sometimes, in some cases, yes. But for our practice now, let's use the time element first. Let's use a basis of 1 minute of operation so that we can see for each minute of operation, 100 kilograms of F enters the extractor. You understand? So if I ask you, what's the overall material balance? F, hindi na siya F DAP. Kasi if I use my basis to be 1 minute, so 1 minute of operation, what happens is matatanggal na yung per minute. So my overall material balance now will be F plus S is equal to R plus E. So the feed plus some solvent is the extract plus the raffinate. So with the mass flow rate of the feed solution given, start with a bit, starting out with a basis of 1 minute operation. For 1 minute operation, the amount of feed to the extractor is 100 kilograms. So magiging mass basis na yung mga calculation. I'll just erase the period. Para 1 minute. All right, here, let's continue. If no stream amount or flow rate are known, take a basis on the stream with known and complete composition. Because sometimes you'll notice lahat sila may mga compositions. However, one is more complete or parang there are streams that have more complete composition or more complete information compared to the others. So if that's the case, choose whichever is more complete. So in this case, if mass fraction is known, choose the total mass or time of operation as a basis. So in this case, you can say F is 30% magnesium sulfate, 70% water. Here, the wet crystals, 10 parts adhering solution, 20 parts of magnesium sulfate, heptahydrate, and then the mother liquor is 20 kilograms of magnesium sulfate per 100 kilograms of water. So in this case, this is a composition, that's a composition, that's a composition, nothing is stated. Probably all of them might be complete. So it is okay to start with the feed. So we can say that the basis here could be an assumption of 100 kilograms kasi everything is in kilograms here. So there are 100 kilograms of feed. It could also be 100 kilograms of mother liquor, right? Next, an example at the bottom, you also have here, when you notice here, it totals 100%. This one totals 100% as well. So for this mixing process, the basis of 100 kilograms of F1 or P is appropriate. Basta you have to look. Like sometimes we might just give you 47.5% nitric acid, but then the others are not given. So let's not choose P. But in this case, both F1 and P I totaling 100%. So either F1 or P could be a basis. Now, this is where the overall material balances are. So in order to set up the equations for the balance, for the overall material balance, apply the general balance equation to take summation of input streams and equate it to the summation of all the output streams. So just like what I said earlier, if it's non-reacting, where there is no generation, no accumulation, di ba? And no, ano pa ba isa? Generation, accumulation, and consumption. Yes. So no consumption, meaning all the inputs can be equated to all the outputs. So in this case, you'll notice 100 kilograms a minute. So if we take the basis of 1 minute operation, F plus S is R plus E. And then input whatever information you have. After that, you can do component balances. Okay? So for this one, in the evaporator, again, this is non-reacting. So F is equal to W plus L, right? So in this case, nothing is stated in terms of operation. So I think instead of basis 1 minute operation, let's just use basis of 200 kilograms or 200 kilograms of L. So F equals W plus L, F is equal to W plus 200. That's it. Next. So this is what I was telling you earlier about. This one, the dotted line, is what you call the system boundary. So, because when you look at it without the red dot, you'd be able to, you might get confused and tell me, sir, there are a lot of arrows. There's the M, there's the L, there's the T, W, C, M, L. However, if I only look at the dotted line as my system boundary, what enters the boundary? F1 and F2. What exits? E, W, and C. So it lessens the number of unknowns immediately, right? So In this case, for example, I would only look at the red dotted line. I treat the whole thing as one process lang. The systems of processes in here will be treated as one process, as a whole system. So the overall material balance will be F1 plus F2 as stated here. EWC will be on the other side. Okay? All right. Component balance. This is what I was telling you earlier about. Apply the general balance equation to account for the mass of a component in all input streams and equate it to the mass of a component in all output streams. Perform component balance on a component that appears in lesser streams whose composition is known. Make a balance or a tie component or a key component. This component of stream enters in one input streams and leaves in one output stream and remains unchanged, right? So we try to use the tie component, yung pati siya yung less stream. So if, for example, if I ask you in here, you see there are three streams, F, W, and L. In the three streams, sugar appears how many times? Can you tell me? How many times does sugar appear? Twice only. In F and in L. How many times does water appear? Three times. F, the whole W is pure water, and then L. So if I ask you which one's easier to use, definitely the sugar, because sugar only accounts for F and L. So let's try setting up the equation. So first, let's write the basis. I can see that my basis here is 200 kilograms of L. So if that's my basis, what's my overall material balance? F equals W plus L. I'll input the known values. So I can see that this one is one equation. And then I'll do my component balances. What component balances? If I want to be sugar balance first because it's easier, 0.1 F is equal to 0.80 L or 0.80 times 200. So guys, in here, you'd be able to solve for F. Can you please solve for F for me? What is F? 1,600? Ba? Tama? Okay. What's the unit? What are the units, guys? This is kilograms, right? Now, we were able to solve for F. How do you solve for W? I can say F equals W plus 200. So W is 1,600 minus 200. Your W is 1,400 kilograms, right? Can you follow? All right. So other sources of equations. So sometimes ito, process specifications. The problem may state how streams or components in a stream are related. For example, one component is recovered at a certain extent. The outlet flow rate emerged twice as much as the inlet flow rate. The component in an outgoing stream is half as much as its amount in an incoming stream. So in here, you'll notice 40% moisture, and then here the dryer removes 50% of the water fed to the dryer. And then some other sources are physical properties and laws. physical constraints, and stoichiometric relations.